All right, class, let's do this. Jump back to where we were yesterday. The security team at a large organization is analyzing a recent cyber attack that targeted their network infrastructure. They must focus on the attack stages and the relationship between the adversary, infrastructure, and capabilities to understand an attack plan for future security measures. What should the security team prioritize to address the current situation effectively and improve their security operations? A, deploying an advanced intrusion detection system. B, conducting a thorough vulnerability assessment of their systems. C, analyzing the attack using the diamond model of intrusion analysis and the cyber kill chain. Or D, implementing strict access policies and procedures. We want to understand the attack stages and relationships. Deploying an advanced intrusion detection system isn't going to necessarily let us understand the adversary or their infrastructure or their capabilities. It'll let us know when it's there, but it's not going to let us know necessarily that any more than that. And it's definitely not going to satisfy what's being requested of us. Conducting a thorough vulnerability assessment of their systems would expose vulnerabilities that could be exploited during an attack, but again, it's not going to satisfy what this question is asking us. Implementing strict access control policies and procedures, again, that's a great way to help protect your environment and better its security posture, but it's going to do nothing to satisfy the question, which is asking us to focus on the attack stages and the relationship between the adversary, infrastructure, and capabilities, which we know from study yesterday, that comes from the diamond model of intrusion analysis. And we want to understand the attack and plan for future security measures. To me, that screams the only correct answer. Sebastian Antonio, welcome back to the party. Continuing student. Yeah, C. I'm pretty sure on this one. I'll be flabbergasted if we're wrong. Nope, we're right. So let's do a little bit of learning. So from yesterday, I got this one incorrect. So we're going to review it together. A security analyst needs to justify vulnerabilities in the organization's network infrastructure. Identify, not justify, excuse me. A security analyst needs to identify vulnerabilities in the organization's network infrastructure. They need to understand the stages of an attack and use a comprehensive testing methodology that considers the context of vulnerabilities. Which of the following should the analyst use to effectively achieve these goals? For some reason yesterday, and I'd have to review the video, we answered Diamond Model of Intrusion Analysis. The correct answer was the Open Source Security Testing Methodology Manual, or OSSTMM. And the reason that's the correct answer is because the OSSTMM is a comprehensive security testing methodology that considers vulnerability context considerations. It provides a systematic approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in various systems, including network infrastructure. Security testing methodology. Okay. We were incorrect on this question as well, so let's review it. A cloud security analyst is reviewing the output of a cloud vulnerability assessment. The analyst's primary objective is to determine which vulnerabilities pose the greatest risk to the organization. Which approach should the analyst prioritize to achieve this goal? A, enforce strict identity and access management policies. B, implement encryption. C, we chose C. And the correct answer would have been to map the vulnerabilities to the diamond model's elements to prioritize remediation. I thought we clicked it. All right, moving on, team. Let's keep rolling. The security team at a large organization wants to improve its incident response process by analyzing patterns and behaviors of threat actors. Based on the collected data, they are also looking for ways to adapt their defenses and response strategies. What should the team focus on to continuously improve their incident response capabilities? A, regularly update firewalls. B, deploy additional security tools. C, analyze threat intelligence and adapt strategies. Or D, implement stronger authentication mechanisms. Or E, we don't know yet. So I'm on a security team at a large organization. We want to improve our incident response by analyzing the patterns and behaviors of threat actors. Based on the collected data, we have the data, we are looking for ways to adapt their defenses and response strategies. What should the team focus on to continuously improve their incident capabilities? Regularly updating firewall rules. Is it going to do anything to satisfy this answer? Deploy additional security tools. Well, we need to know what the attacks look like and how they're evading our responses before we can deploy the additional security tools. We can analyze the threat intelligence and adapt strategies. To me, that makes the most sense. And implementing stronger authentication mechanisms isn't necessarily what we're looking to do to improve our incident response capabilities. Remember, you read the question, you read it again, you find out what the question is actually asking of you, and typically 2 answers are going to stand out as no-go, and there's another 2 answers that are going to be really similar, and from those 2, you need to come up with what is the best answer for the question that it's asking you. Sometimes when you're taking these exams, CompTIA will ask you a question that maybe you've actually worked in a security operations center, and you go, that's not really how it's handled in real life. Doesn't matter. Just play the game. CompTIA is going to have a textbook set of answers that may differ from the way things are done just slightly in the real world. So you have to keep that in consideration. Cool. Moving on. A security analyst is evaluating the effectiveness of their organization's incident response process. They need to understand the stages of an attack and have a framework that aids in understanding the relationship between the adversary, infrastructure, and capabilities of the attack. Additionally, the analyst wants to ensure that they properly address vulnerability reporting outcomes and action plans. Which frameworks should the analyst focus on to achieve these objectives? A, the diamond model of intrusion analysis. B, the cyber kill chain. D, the open source security testing methodology manual. Or D, the MITRE attack framework. Miss Wolverine 99, welcome back to the party. D is close, but not exactly what was asked. What do we think, team? If we read the question, this is a long one. They look longer than they are. CompTIA, from what I understand, won't give you a question that's longer than 3 sentences, albeit they use commas, and so the sentences seem pretty long. But if you look, modern CompTIA questions are comprised of a maximum of 3 sentences. A security analyst is evaluating the effectiveness of their organization's incident response process. They need to understand the stages of an attack and have a framework that aids in understanding the relationships between the adversary, infrastructure, and capabilities of the attack. Additionally, the analyst wants to ensure that they properly address vulnerability reporting and the outcomes of the action plans. There's your 3rd sentence, and then the question. Sometimes the question is the end of the 3rd sentence. Which frameworks should the analyst focus on to achieve these objectives? Malik 83 is saying diamond model of intrusion analysis. Whenever I see the adversary, infrastructure, and capabilities, my brain automatically goes to the diamond model of intrusion analysis because those are keywords that are used when describing that concept. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that I'm sure, and let's send it. We are sure and correct. Next question. A security analyst must improve the organization's detection and response capabilities to potential cyber threats. The analyst is researching different methodologies and frameworks to help them identify network indicators that may signal an ongoing attack. What should the analyst prioritize to enhance the organization's ability to detect and respond to potential threats? A. Perform regular software patching. B. Conduct a physical security audit. C. Implement network traffic analysis and use threat intelligence. Or D. Establish a centralized logging system. So we're an analyst. We want to respond our organization's detection and response capabilities to threats. I'm researching different methodologies and frameworks. So those are keywords, methodologies and frameworks. What should the analyst prioritize to enhance the organization's ability? What do we think, class? I think performing regular software patching is important, but doesn't satisfy the different methodologies and frameworks to help us identify. Patching doesn't do anything to identify network indicators. So there's another keyword. We're talking about the network, not an endpoint, not a cloud solution, the network. Yeah, Miss Wolverine gets it. Sebastiano Antonio sees the answer. I tend to agree. Implement a network traffic analysis and use threat intelligence. That is a two-part answer that satisfies a two-part question. If you notice, the question is asking us to detect and respond to potential threats. And we're also looking at methodologies and frameworks. Answer A is only satisfies one part. B only satisfies one part. And the last one, not only are they incorrect, but they don't satisfy a two-part question. And if you look carefully, this third answer is the only one that, even if you weren't familiar with the content, you could look at the question and you could say, this is a two-part question and this is a two-part answer. This is the only two-part answer. And none of these other answers satisfy what's going on here. This has to be it. Watch, we're wrong. That'd be hilarious. Moving on. To enhance the security of a software company, a cybersecurity analyst is tasked with devising a new patch management process. The analyst must conduct a thorough analysis in response to a recent cyber attack on the company's network. When working on the patch management plan, what should the analyst prioritize? A. Identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities. B. Assessing attacker skills. C. Tracing attacker infrastructure. Or D. Analyzing victim traits. The analyst must blah, blah, blah. When working on the patch management plan, what should the analyst prioritize? Analyzing victim traits has nothing to do with working on a patch management plan, so we can scratch that one off. Tracing an attacker infrastructure, again, has nothing to do with analyzing a patch management plan. Assessing attacker skills, sure. Maybe with comparing them to the vulnerabilities within your environment. Hey, this is a skilled attacker in phishing, in spear phishing. The company I work for is a golf company with executives or something. Correct answer here, I believe, is A, identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities. Correct. Moving forward. A security team at a large organization is reviewing its incident response activities after a recent cyber attack. All right, we've just been hit. They want to understand different stages of the attack, identify gaps in their defenses, and develop an effective response strategy for future incidents. What should the team focus on to comprehensively analyze the incident response activities? A. deploy additional antivirus software. B, restrict access to sensitive data. C, map incident response activities to attack stages. D, upgrade the network infrastructure. Let's take a look at that one again. The security team at a large organization is reviewing its incident response activities after a recent cyber attack. They want to understand the different stages of the attack, identify gaps in their defenses, and develop an effective response strategy for future incidents. What should the team focus on to comprehensively analyze the incident response activities? Well, deploying additional antivirus software may or may not be part of how they want to respond, but it's definitely not going to answer the question, so we can scratch that one off. Restricting access to sensitive data probably should be something that they do within their organization, and that could be part of their plan moving forward, but it's not going to satisfy it overall. Map incident response activities to attack stages sounds pretty legit. And then upgrading the network infrastructure. Again, we don't know if that's part of the lessons learned, the post-incident activity. We don't know anything about, from this question, we don't know anything about the upgrading the network infrastructure, which means C is correct because we can map the incident responses to attack stages. How did we do in certain areas? Yeah, map incident. You guys got it. We're rolling with gas today, team. A security analyst is investigating a recent cyber attack on their organization's web applications. The investigation must assess the web application vulnerabilities while considering special considerations in vulnerability scanning. Which framework should the analyst utilize to achieve this objective? A, the cyber kill chain. B, the OWASP testing guide. C, the NIST cybersecurity framework, hashtag #IHeartNIST. Or D, the MITRE attack framework. Yo, Tech Ricky, my fearless co-host of Slay Cert Plus. You can join Tech Ricky and I for a long form of these study sessions, including full objective from Domain 1 all the way through Domain 4 review, practice questions, and special guests every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That must be from the previous question. All right, we got web application vulnerabilities, considering special to the vulnerability scanning. The cyber kill chain, again, even though the answer may be obvious to us, let's go ahead and review the ones that are incorrect so we can get used to that process. Cyber kill chain is a way to label and map out known steps that threat actors typically do in order to achieve their goals, from reconnaissance all the way to action on objective, right? Every step of a hack. Now, the OWASP testing guide provides guidance and testing protocols when it comes to web applications, including the top 10 vulnerabilities. Web application pen testers are obviously going to want to be familiar with that. NIST cybersecurity framework, again, is not specific to web applications, and MITRE attack is not as well. This is pretty obvious. OWASP is our correct answer. That's right. All right, another one, moving on. A security analyst is working on improving the organization's cybersecurity posture and needs to analyze recent attack on their network. The analyst must determine the relationship between the adversary, infrastructure, and attack capabilities, while also understanding the attacker's techniques, tactics, and procedures. What should the analyst use to comprehensively understand the attack and enhance the organization's vulnerability scanning methods? A, ISO and IEC 2701 information compliance. B, cyber kill chain and CIS critical security controls. C, NIST cybersecurity framework and the OWASP top 10. Or D, the diamond model of intrusion analysis and the MITRE attack framework. Kind of a word sandwich. I like mayo on my sandwiches personally. I know a lot of folks out there don't like mayo, or they say they don't like mayo, but they like aioli, which is fair. I like a good aioli. I feel like aioli is like kind of watered down, not watered down now, but it's become It used to be something you would get on high-end sandwiches or in artisan, it's like sandwich shops. And now you get aioli mass-produced in a craft squeeze bottle. Not a big fan of mass-produced condiments. Something you'll learn about me if we ever go eat. I love condiments, but not very many of them, and definitely not the mass-produced ones. Probably ate too many as a kid. Gross, mustard for life. I love all, man, mustard's good. But we're not here to talk about mustard. We're here to talk about the diamond model of intrusion analysis and the MITRE ATT&CK framework. That's the answer that we're going to select as a class, and we're going to send it. Let's go. And we're correct. Moving on, next question. A web application security specialist is examining the output of a recent web vulnerability assessment. Their primary objective is determining which vulnerabilities pose the greatest risk to the organization while considering the different stages of a cyber kill chain. What approach should the specialist prioritize to achieve this goal? A, implement strong access control measures. B, focus on patching all identified vulnerabilities immediately. You gotta patch it! C, categorize vulnerabilities based on their potential impact. Or D, immediately deploy a web application firewall to block all the malicious traffic ever. Or finally, E, I don't know yet. The primary objective, here's the question, determining which vulnerabilities pose the greatest risk to the organization while considering the different stages of a cyber kill chain. This is almost a two-part answer, but if you look, all of our answer choices are one-part answers. Let's see if any of the answers satisfy both requests. Implementing strong access control measures does nothing to determine which vulnerabilities pose the greatest risk. Focus on patching all identified vulnerabilities immediately is impossible, not feasible, and it could very well lead to a full business shutdown if you do not do it properly and you break something in a production environment. So that should stick out to you just as an IT professional as an incorrect answer. Third, categorize vulnerabilities based on their potential impact. I like that, right? How much risk and likelihood, or what is the likelihood this is going to impact our business, and if so, what's the impact going to look like at the bottom line? Or deploy a web application firewall to block the malicious traffic. Again, is going to do nothing to determine the vulnerabilities. I think this one screams, it says C. I'm going to say unsure, and we're going to get a lesson, but let's send it anyways, and we were correct. Okay, the specialist can prioritize the most critical vulnerabilities by categorizing the vulnerabilities, reading down here, according to their potential impact on the cyber kill chain. That makes sense. So depending on where the vulnerability is and how it would align with the cyber kill chain, that's good. I want to flag that. Now I think I'm confident on that question. We're probably good on that, right, class? Moving on. Here we go, team. A cloud security analyst is reviewing the output of a cloud vulnerability assessment. The analyst's primary objective is to determine which vulnerabilities pose the greatest risk to the organization. Which approach should the analyst prioritize to achieve this goal? A, map vulnerabilities to the diamond model's elements to prioritize remediation. B, regularly review cloud provider security documentation. C, implement encryption for all data at rest and in transit. Or D, enforce strict identity and access management policies. The only one, and I necessarily don't know if it's the best answer, but it's the one that CompTIA gives us, is this one out of all the choices that is the closest. We're correct. We're starting to catch up. We just had this question. This is a repeat web application. This is the one we just had, so I'm going to speed through for the sake of time. Here we go. Moving on. A software development company is looking to enhance its security practices by incorporating attack methodology frameworks into its vulnerability assessment process. The company's management wants to ensure its web applications are secure against known threats and attack techniques. Which of the following actions should the company prioritize to integrate these frameworks and improve its security posture? A, increase the frequency of security awareness training. B, conduct a regular pen test of web applications. C, upgrade the network infrastructure. Or D, spend that money and purchase and deploy additional antivirus or EDR solutions. In my off time, I am going to work on the word methodology. Methodology. It has tripped me up multiple times today. Whenever I find something that trips me up, I can't go on until I fix it. Yeah, I tend to agree, class. Conduct regular pen testing. It's the only way that we're going to be able to validate the assessment process. This is a long one. A security analyst at a financial institution is responsible for identifying active threats to the organization's network. The analyst uses the open source security testing methodology manual and the Open Web Application Security Project OWASP testing guide to monitor and analyze these threats effectively. The analyst receives an alert about a potential spear phishing attack targeting employees. When using these methodologies to assess the situation, what should the analyst's primary focus? A, reviewing the company's security policies and procedures. B, conducting penetration testing on the organization's web applications. C, implementing security controls based on OSTMM recommendations. Or D, identifying threat indicators and potential vulnerabilities. To me, I mean, implementing security controls based on OSTMM recommendations. I mean, C kind of screams at me as the correct answer. What do you think in class? This is going to be our final question of today's power session. And while you're putting your answers in chat, I'd like to thank everybody that's tuned in. And I hope that you're finding some value in this on Team Replay. To my friends and family on Facebook, hello. Some of you I probably haven't seen in 20 years. And then here I am on your feed live talking about things that don't make sense. Miss Wolverine says, I don't know what the OSTMM entails yet. Let's go back. All right, where were we? The OSTMM overview, what is it? It's an open source security testing methodology manual, a comprehensive guide to security testing and operational security, freely available under Creative Commons, and it's created by ISC.com. We looked them up yesterday. Why it matters? It provides a consistent, repeatable testing methodology, helps identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and supports through assessment of security controls. It's useful across systems, software, and networks. The study takeaway for the OSTMM is that it helps analysts test security in a structured, measurable, and repeated way. What OSTMM covers? 1, core analysis. 2, people and physical, 3, technical testing, and 4, oversight and reporting. OSTMM spans both human and technical security testing domains. I believe it would include stuff like spear phishing, Miss Woolrain 99. Consistent testing, why analysts use it? What the bottom line, who gives a crap, right? Why do we care? Well, it provides consistent testing, which means standardized methodology, repeatable processes, through and consistent assessments. Thorough and obviously that meant thorough and consistent assessments. We like it because of its operational value, identifies vulnerabilities and weaknesses, evaluates effectiveness of controls, highlights areas attackers commonly target, which, if I remember correctly, let me make sure I'm here. Yeah. I could have swore the question said something specifically. Oh, commonly target. That wasn't the question. Either way, I think then it's obviously C, right? But to finish our recap, because we want to leave on that. OSTMM, why it matters to CySA Plus, it supports structured security operations, improves analyst decision-making, and helps to build disciplined testing programs. The OSTMM gives analysts a repeatable framework to test, measure, and improve security posture. Here are our key exam takeaways. OSTMM is open source and freely available. It provides a structured security testing framework. It covers operational, physical, wireless, and network testing. It supports consistent, repeatable assessments. Remember, OSTMM helps analysts test security methodology, you know that word, security, and report the results clearly. Let me know in chat if you'd be interested in a repository with all of these slides. Let me know. I'd be happy to share them with people as far as some of the free resources. They're going to cover all the domains. There's a few typos, like I got the domains wrong here and there, but it's going to cover everything. And you get some of my ADD when it comes to slide backgrounds going through the eras. Let me know if that would be valuable to you, and I'd be happy to create a repository around that. Well, I'm going to go with this answer. Let's send it. We were incorrect. All right. See where we're at. Looks like we're here on the little graph bar. So we're getting close to being done with 3.1 domain review. Sebastian says that their gaps are on domain 2. I'm afraid to get trap on CySA in 3 weeks. I will take my exam. Well, keep showing up. I'm going to be here for the next 30 days doing this. And then after I take my exam and pass, because we will, Tech Ricky and I, and if you study with us, you'll pass. That's what we do. After we're done, I'm going to come back and continue to teach it as a person who's taken the exam. Right now, we're studying together, right? We're doing this in a community-driven. I'm providing some expertise because I am blessed to work in security operations, vulnerability management, and I've worked in cybersecurity for a handful of, well, a few years now, 3 or 4 years now. So anything I can do to give back as you're coming along with me to my journey. But then after I'm done, we're going to come back and we're going to teach this as somebody who's already taken the exam, and we can share even greater insight. And after that, we're going to move into Tech Ricky and I talked about teaching some of the Microsoft certifications. And then I don't know what the timeline looks like. Maybe next year, we'd also like to do the same exact thing, slay Cert Plus, but we would be doing CISSP. So after CySA Plus, we might, if somebody plants a bug in our ear, it says, hey, we love what you guys are doing, we'll sponsor you to make content. And if the person doing the sponsorship is a somebody who we trust and we value, and they want to do red teaming content, purple team content, GRC instruction. This isn't meant to replace or try to compete with any of the content creators that are out there. I enjoy studying for certifications because I like being the CEO of myself. Nobody is going to get industry certs for me. And at any time, as much as I love my job, that my position may no longer be needed. I don't want to be the person on the outside who was comfortable and didn't continue to learn, didn't continue to better myself through certifications, education, whatever works for you. I know cert and education is not for everybody. I enjoy certifications. I like having them to go along with my achievements as I grow in the industry. And so I want to bring you along with us. It's going to be awesome. I got to run, got to go pay some bills, and I'm going to eat some lunch. Don't know what we're going to do. But I hope to catch you. I will see you tomorrow at the exact same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Mountain. Tech Ricky and I will be coming in hot on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern with a long form stream to everybody. Yeah, Ricky knows what's up. We want to raise everybody up. We want to help. If it provides value to you or somebody you know, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. But if it doesn't provide value, I'm not letting it for numbers, man. And we just want to help. Anyways, I'm going to run. I hope you have a great day. Until next time, stay secure.